With 29 skills, some of which go beyond level 99, there's a lot of different Skillcape perks to choose from in Runescape. After watching this video, you'll know exactly which skills will reward you with solid perks upon reaching the milestone. So let's get started. Whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. I've categorized all Skillcapes and the 120 Skillcape perks in a couple of tiers, being useless, niche, useful, very good, and must-haves. While a single Skillcape will only give you one active perk, it's worth noting that you can have up to 4 active perks at a single point in time. Expert Skillcapes let you activate 2 perks at the same time. These capes are unlocked by combining all skill shards of a single category like combat, artisan, support, or gathering. You get these shards by skilling a little bit beyond level 99, although it's possible that you already have the shards in your shard bag, which you can reclaim easily from Diango at your bank. Once you max your account, so level 99 in every single skill, you'll be able to have 3 perks active on any cape, like your Zuck cape. And additionally, you'll be able to activate another skill cape perk and turn it into a passive if you have the tier 3 player lodge at the Anachronia base camp. It's worth noting that not all Skillcape perks will work on this Skillcape rack. For example, the teleports from Dungeoneering cannot be used, so there's no point in putting a Dungeoneering cape on the Skillcape rack. First up, we have the only cape in the useless tier, and that is the 99 Prayer Cape. This cape provides the effect of having 2 lit incense burners without having to light them when offering bones to your altar in the player-owned house. There has not been a single reason to be using a gilded altar. This perk is useless because the Chaos altar or Chaos Temple altar has burners lit the entire time. You get the same experience as if you're using this prayer cape at a gilded altar. But then we have the Power of Burials, which is just so much faster, and you get the exact same effect as an altar with 2 burners lit, except you're burying bones. So, yeah. This cape is out of meta and could probably use a nice little update. Starting in the niche tier, in no particular order, we have the Cooking Cape. The Cooking Skill Cape perk prevents all food from burning while cooking, which does sound useful, but it's really niche. I mean, how many players are actually cooking their own food? Well, there's Iron Man, of course, but then you also have the bait and switch archaeology relic power, which, if you're catching your own fish as an Iron Man, you'd be cooking them at the same time as well, and you don't even need this cape. I must say, though, that Iron Man players that get a bunch of raw fish or raw food from bosses and they want to cook it, this is going to be useful to get the most out of it. But yeah, for Mainscape players, not useful at all, very niche. Next up, we have the Magic Skill Cape perk, and the reason this is niche is simply because you're not going to be using the Skill Cape often, but it is nice to have. The Cape's perk provides the ability to change spellbooks at banks, which is more of a speedy, convenient thing than anything else. Now, you're not going to believe who today's sponsor is. Yes, that's right, it's Raid Shadow Legends. I mean, how else am I going to feed this little guy? Now, I'll tell you what you can get by signing up, but first let me introduce Raid. Raid is the ultimate turn-based RPG game that lets you take on bosses and dungeons using your own dream team that can be created from over 800 different heroes, divided into 16 factions. Right now, Raid is running a special Spring Hunt minigame in which you can find hidden items around the Mistwood until May the 30th. After downloading Raid, you'll be able to use your Raid ID on springhunt.plarium.com to search for missing items with a chance to win real-life prizes in the form of Amazon gift cards or even a gaming console. Other than that, you're able to earn a legendary hero by simply logging in for 7 days between now and July called Chroniker Adolin. If you haven't given Raid a try, make sure you click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. You'll immediately get a huge starter pack with an epic champion called Tyrell, and once you hit level 25, you'll get another epic hero called Rector Giraffe. Collecting heroes is one of the best things about Raid, so here's your chance to get some new ones. Additionally, for both new and existing players, you can use the promo code SPRINGHUNT24 once in game to get even more starting currency. If you use the App Store directly, you'll miss out on the 2 epic hero packs, so use my link or QR code to try out Raid for yourself. Next up, we have the Woodcutting Skill Cape perk, which gives an increased chance of finding birds' nests or crystal geodes. The simple reason I'm calling the Woodcutting Skill Cape niche is because getting extra birds' nests isn't all that useful until you start gathering all 4 Camdo Hatchet fragments, in which case it's going to be nice to get those earlier because that tier 80 hatchet is currently best in slot. Next up, we have the level 99 Herbal Cape, not to be confused with the 120 Skill Cape perk, which is completely different. But this cape allows you to clean all herbs in your inventory instantly, and with the right method and setup, you can clean up to 160,000 herbs per hour. And sure, that can be a nice money-making method, but it really isn't anything you're going to be doing all that often. Now, the next cape may come as a surprise, but I think the runecrafting skill cape perk is niche. Being able to know your perfect rune for the Rune Goldberg machine isn't all that useful. I say this because while knowing that nature runes are going to be your best third rune, you're always going to want to pick the cheapest runes to maximize your profit from this daily. I would almost go as far as to call this skill cape perk useless. You can just grab the Runescape wiki, know your first and second rune, and then just trial and error until you find the cheapest rune that will give you the most amount of Viswax as your third rune slot. The agility skill cape perk is kind of niche because it can only really be used to go from level 99 to 120 agility as you no longer fail obstacles, but you know, the sure-footed aura also exists, and Silverhawks also exists, so there's that. Next up, we have the fire-making skill cape perk, which acts as a light source, which honestly, like, yes, it's nice to have this. I have one in my bank for this exact reason. If you're entering a dark area and you don't want to take damage and not see anything, this is a nice thing to have, but you can also just have a candle in your bank, and then, yes, just light it, and you have the exact same effect as a 99 skill cape perk. Not very useful. Another cape that may come as a surprise is the Constitution cape. I think this cape is niche because the life point generation buff isn't all that significant, with a single exception, or maybe two, but not many. The cape's perk doubles your base life point regeneration to 0.2% every 6 seconds, or 10% of your life points in 5 minutes. I really don't think getting 1,000 life points in 5 minutes is going to be worth it over some of the other cape buffs, but perhaps if you're doing a high enraged boss, long boss fights, or you're doing Zuck, which is a challenge that will take you 30 to 60 minutes, then it may be useful, but really still I don't think it's going to be all that significant. It also allows you to heal back up to full when accessing banks without going outside of combat, which may be useful if you're doing speed farming for bosses where you're teleporting out, banking, going back in every single kill. The Quest and Master Skill Cape have the exact same perks, and these are being a bunch of teleports, like to Tears of Guthix, and adding 30 seconds to the Tear of Guthix minigame timer, or D&D timer. Some of you may consider that useful if you're doing it every single week for the experience, but I think it's a little bit on the niche side. I mean, the teleports are nice, but I'm not sure if you're going to be using them all that often. Maybe clearers use them, but yeah, I'm going to consider this a niche cape. Kicking it off with the useful cape tier, we have the Archaeology Skill Cape, the level 99 one more specifically, which provides the ability to access the Relic Power interface at banks, allowing you to swap easily, and gives you an additional 1% sprite focus whenever you gain some when training Archaeology. The next cape in this tier is one that many people are going to be using for the PVM setups, and it's the Defense Cape. And while this cape is useful as it provides the effects of a Sign of Life or Portent of Life once per hour, it's just something you can keep using over and over, and it's convenient to have without needing to bring one along in your PVM preset. We then have the Crafting Skill Cape, which removes the need for Thread when crafting leather, which is going to be quite nice if you're doing something like Dragonhide bodies or shields to 120, and provides a 0.75% chance to cut all gems of the same type in your inventory at once, which is going to increase your XP per hour when cutting gems to 120. The Fletching Skill Cape perk is another really useful one because it provides a 0.75% chance to make extra bolts, arrows, and darts, which are some of the best training methods and will give you experience for that as well. Interestingly enough, the extra experience you gain from this effect proccing was only added about 8 months ago. The Smithing Skill Cape is another useful one, as every time an unfinished smithing item is reheated, and that includes the Superheat Form spell, the next strike will generate +5 base progress, increasing the amount of XP you gain per hour. The Fishing Skill Cape perk has a 5% chance to give you an additional catch, although unlike the Fletching Skill Cape perk, for some reason, this doesn't give you additional experience for that additional catch. So it could be more useful, but it still gives you additional catches. So if you're doing something like Crystal Urchins, you're getting more of those for those points, which will get you more experience as well. The Construction Skill Cape perk would have been better and higher up in the tier list, although it only has a 5% chance to save any plank when building, in the player owned house, doing construction contracts, and while using the portable workbench. It's still very good, but it doesn't save you any frames when doing Fort Farinfree construction, which is now basically like nearly the fastest method, and it's super AFKable, so there's like no reason to not be doing Fort Farinfree construction. The attack Skillcape perk is another useful one because it has a 2% chance for degradable items not to degrade, which is going to save you some money on your Cinderbangs, Death Touch Bracelet, Amulet of Souls, and so on. This does not, however, work on augmented items, just so you know. Moving on to the very good tier, we have the Archaeology Master Skillcape perk. This cape gains an additional perk where 5 to 15% of progress to your next discovery is made when discovering an artifact, kicking off the effect of getting your next artifact. For people farming Inquisitor Staff or Masterwork Spear Pieces, this is fantastic, or just people farming artifacts for logs. This cape is just really good. Next up, and this is in no particular order, we have the Dungeoneering 99 cape, but also the Dungeoneering Master cape. First of all, the Dungeoneering cape, the 99 cape, can be worn inside Dungeoneering or Daemonheim for extra bonuses, and provides unlimited teleports to any resource dungeon you have available to you, which is going to come in handy for Slayer, for dailies, and more. The Master Skillcape perk increases the lore drops such as pages inside Daemonheim or only dungeons, but more importantly, it allows you to pick which boss you face on the floor every single day. The Hunter Skillcape is another very good one, as activating the perk will allow you to instantly lay or reset your next trap. If you keep buying the cape in your action bar, you'll be able to do something called 2-tick Hunter, which will increase your experience per hour, although most people will still just go with the protein route if they save up enough protein traps and just AFK it. The Thieving Skillcape perk is another fantastic perk you're going to want to have because it allows you to note things such as Phoenix Feathers for your super anti-fires, or allows you to note your loot when doing Bandits, Crackseekon Knights, Prif Elves, and because safecracking has been nerfed, even though it's still a very good method, pickpocketing up to 120 has become a lot more attractive. The next cape is an obvious pick. The Summoning Skillcape. It has a 2% chance not to consume a charm when infusing summoning pouches, which will save you so much time charm gathering for 120. It's absolutely crazy how good this is. And if you have Spirit Gems or the modified Shaman's Headdress, you're going to be saving even more charms as they stack. We're talking saving literal thousands of charms here, guys. We then have the Farming 99 and 120 Skillcape perk. The 99 Skillcape perk has a 5% chance per action to instantly harvest all remaining resources from a crop, and they get noted. The 120 Skillcape perk automatically treats farming patches as super compost for free and has the ability to increase the health and happiness of your player and farm animals by 20% once per day. We then have the Mining Skillcape perk, which is very similar to the fishing one in the useful tier, except the reason it's very good is because you actually get extra experience for that 5% double ore chance on all core rocks. And the final cape in the very good tier is the Divination Skillcape perk, which boosts a spring minimum duration by 30 seconds once per spring. You could argue if this is really all that useful, but I think it is because it makes Divination a lot more AFKable, and who is really training Divination actively? Let's be honest here, if you're doing something like Incandescent Energy, you're going to want AFK. We have arrived at the must-have Skillcape perk tier, and we're going to kick it off with one of the best PVM perks in the game, the Strength Skillcape perk. This cape is a major buff to the Dismember Blade ability, which will last an additional 3.6 seconds or 3 hits opposed to 5. Now, of course, if you're not using melee, this cape is effectively useless to you, but if you are, and especially if you want to extend your bleeds even further by using a Trim Masterwork Spear of Annihilation, yeah, this is Bleedscape. Similarly, the Range Skillcape perk is another really good one as it increases the chance of special ranged ammunition proccing by 20%. Let's say you're using something like Enchanted Hydra-Expert Criminal Bolts that have a 10% chance. With this Skillcape perk, they now have a 12% chance to proc, which is a significant improvement. We then have the Master Herblore Skillcape perk, not the 99 one, but the Master one, so the 120 cape. And this one is just a must-have for any PVMer. This cape allows you to create batches of overload, so 5 overloads at the cost of 4 sets of ingredients, or 4 Supreme Overload Potions at the cost of 3 sets of ingredients. And best of all, it works with most of the Herblore boosting items, so it's going to work with your Skull of Cleansing, Portable Well, Root of the Gods, and so on. This is both a money and a time saver. Both the level 99 and 120 Necromancy skill capes are, in my opinion, must-have skill cape perks. In my opinion, the 99 skill cape perk is perhaps the better of the two, but the Master skill cape perk has both, so it doesn't really matter. So the 99 skill cape perk allows you to activate an additional glyph as long as you have the Necromancy level, which is simply a straight-up ritual output or experience per hour buff, which just is super nice going for 120. The 120 cape is up here simply because of the 99 skill cape perk, but it gains an additional perk which has a 10% chance not to drain runes when using a lesser or greater bone shield. Look, the fact that it has the 99 cape perk makes it a must-have. Unsurprisingly, the Invention skill cape perks, both 99 and 120, are on the must-have list. The 99 skill cape perk is something I suggest every player have, as it has a 2% charge drain reduction, so you're going to be saving money on your divine charges, and it even stacks multiplicatively with other reductions such as the level benefits. The 120 cape perk is nice for disassembling items, as it increases the chance of you receiving uncommon and rare components. Finally, the last two must-have capes in this list are the level 99 and 120 Slayer capes. The 99 cape provides teleports to all available Slayer Masters, which is something you're going to, or an NPC you're going to be traveling to a lot when training, so it's just huge to have this. And the Slayer Master cape, so the 120 cape, has one of the best perks in the game, being a 20% chance to choose what your next task is going to be when getting yourself a new task. So every 5 tasks on average, you're going to be able to pick your task, which is just one of the nicest perks to have in this game. By the way, if you're wondering, do not put these perks in your capes or something, it's a waste. Just bring a Slayer Master cape or Slayer cape in your preset, use it as a teleport, and if you have the 121, just put it on when you get your task, and then swap back to your Zark or other cape. And with that being said, we've covered all 29 skills and their respective 99 and Master skill cape perks. Be sure to let me know what your favorite skill cape perks are down in the comments below. And once more, a thank you to Raid for sponsoring today's video.